Welcome back to Artificial Evidence. I am your host Owen Carver, and as always, the algorithm knows. On the morning of October 3rd, 1978, Marianne Foster left her home in Billings, Montana, and drove to work. She parked her car, locked the door behind her, and walked into the office building where she had worked as an administrative assistant for nearly a decade. She was seen greeting co-workers, pouring herself a cup of coffee, and taking her seat at her desk. At 11:32 in the morning, she excused herself from a conversation and walked toward the lobby. She was never seen again. No one saw her leave the building. No one reported anything unusual. But when lunch ended and Marianne did not return to her desk, her supervisor called her home. There was no answer. A second call to her husband went unanswered as well. By 5 o'clock, when the office closed for the day, her car was still sitting in the parking lot, untouched. By the time police were called that evening, Marianne Foster was already gone. The investigation began with a simple question. Did she leave on her own? Friends and family insisted that Marianne had no reason to disappear. She was 34 years old, a mother of two, with a stable job and a comfortable life. She was well-liked, dependable, and not the kind of person to simply walk away without explanation. Her marriage was steady, her finances were in order, and she had no known enemies. But the evidence told a more complicated story. Her purse was found inside her locked car, sitting on the passenger seat. Inside were her keys, wallet, and a small notepad she often used for shopping lists. Her coat, the one she had worn that morning, was draped over the back of her desk chair. It was a crisp October day, too cold to go outside without it. Wherever she had gone, she had left everything behind. Security cameras were reviewed, but there was a problem. In 1978, most businesses did not have surveillance systems, and the office building where Marianne worked was no exception. With no video evidence and no witnesses, the timeline became difficult to piece together. The last confirmed sighting was in the office lobby, but beyond that, her movements were a mystery. Then, a witness came forward. A woman who worked in a neighboring office claimed she had seen something unusual. Around 11:45, she had stepped outside for a cigarette and noticed a dark green sedan idling at the curb. She remembered it because the driver, a man in his 50s, was staring at the office entrance, gripping the steering wheel so tightly that his knuckles were white. She had looked away for a moment, distracted by a passing car, and when she glanced back, the sedan was gone. It was not much, but it was something. Police released a description of the vehicle to the public, hoping someone else had seen it. Days passed, then a week, then a month. Leads dried up and the case stalled. Then in December, a letter arrived. The letter was postmarked from Spokane, Washington, over 600 miles away. The handwriting was shaky, the ink smudged in places as if the writer's hands had been unsteady. It was addressed to Marianne's husband, Richard Foster, inside a single sheet of paper. The message was short. She is safe. Stop looking. There was no signature. The envelope contained no fingerprints, no return address, no way to trace where it had come from. But police did not stop looking. Over the next year, the investigation continued. They searched hotels, bus stations, and rental car records. They followed leads from people who claimed to have seen Marianne in small towns across Montana and Idaho. But every time they thought they had a break, it led to a dead end. Then, in March of 1980, an unexpected discovery. In an abandoned barn on the outskirts of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, a group of teenagers stumbled upon something chilling. Underneath a pile of old newspapers, in the corner of the barn, they found a small leather-bound notebook. Inside, the first page was covered in a single phrase, written over and over again in frantic, uneven handwriting. My name is Marianne Foster. My name is Marianne Foster. My name is Marianne Foster. The pages that followed were filled with desperate, unfinished sentences. I do not know where I am. I do not know who he is. I do not know how long I have been here. And then, near the end, one final entry. I think he is coming back. The notebook was sent to forensic analysts, and the handwriting was confirmed to be Marianne's. But there were no fingerprints, no clues as to who had kept her there, or where she had gone afterward. A new search began. Police combed the area, hoping to find more evidence, but there was nothing. Marianne Foster had been alive, trapped somewhere, long enough to write those pages. But beyond that, the trail went cold. Years passed, and the case faded from public memory. Marianne's children grew up without answers. Richard Foster eventually moved away, remarrying and starting a new life. Then, in 1997, nearly 2 decades after she had disappeared, a break. In a rural cemetery outside of Boise, Idaho, a groundskeeper noticed something strange: a bouquet of fresh lilies placed on an unmarked grave. The cemetery was small, rarely visited, and the grave itself was little more than a patch of grass with a simple stone marker. No name, no inscription, just the date, October 3rd, 1978, the day Marianne Foster disappeared. The cemetery had no records of who had been buried there, no official documents, no next of kin, nothing. The grave had been there for years, unnoticed, until someone had left flowers. Who had placed them? And more importantly, who was buried there? A court order was obtained to exhume the remains. When forensic analysts examined the body, they confirmed what some had feared. It was not Marianne Foster. The body belonged to a man, approximately 50 years old, cause of death unknown. The last clue, the last lead, led only to another mystery. To this day, Marianne Foster has never been found. Her case remains open, her fate unknown. Did she escape? Was she taken by someone she knew? Did she live out the rest of her life in hiding? Or did she die in a place no one has ever found? Thank you for listening to Artificial Evidence. If you have not already, be sure to like and subscribe. I am Owen Carver, and as always, the algorithm knows.